If you go down to the woods today, you're in for a big surprise. Better go in disguise, for when the ground is cold and covered in snow, you'll find yourself in the lair of the Wendigo. According to Algonquin legend, the Wendigo is a dark and malevolent spirit that possesses people during the coldest months. It enters the dreams of its victims, forcing them to seek sustenance in the flesh of others. The Wendigo is insatiable, and once someone consumes human flesh, they are transformed into a horrifying creature. This legend stretches across much of Canada and the northern United States, casting a long, shadowy presence over cold, wintry forests. Once the spirit takes hold, the individual transforms into a monstrous version of themselves. They become gaunt and emaciated, with an endless hunger for human flesh. The Wendigo is driven by an uncontrollable craving that can never be satisfied. It is said to stalk its victims, hiding in the shadows, watching, waiting for the right moment to strike. The Wendigo myth has two parts: the malevolent spirit that possesses its victims and the creature they become. The spirit targets those driven by greed, selfishness, or desperation. It lures them toward cannibalism, starting the transformation. The transformation begins when the victim consumes human flesh. This opens the door for the Wendigo spirit to fully possess them, turning them into a flesh-eating monster. The Wendigo relentlessly seeks more flesh, driven by insatiable hunger. It never stops, creating a vicious cycle of destruction. The Wendigo is often described as a gaunt, skeletal figure with pale, leathery skin stretched over bones. Its long, spindly limbs end in claws that tear through flesh. It's fast, able to navigate snowy terrain with ease, and it can mimic human voices to lure victims deeper into the woods. The most disturbing part of the Wendigo's curse is that once the transformation is complete, the victim's humanity is gone, leaving only a mindless, predatory creature. The creature may appear human at a glance, but it has become an uncontrollable monster driven by pure hunger. The Wendigo also has the ability to mimic human voices, drawing people into the woods, much like a siren leading sailors to their doom. While the Wendigo began as a legend, its presence still lingers in the modern world. Some encounters are believed to be hoaxes, but others remain unexplained. The myth of the Wendigo continues to captivate the imagination and serves as a cautionary tale against greed, cannibalism, and the darker side of human nature. The Wendigo's place in folklore is intertwined with spiritual and psychological themes. It is said to reflect humanity's darker instincts: greed, desperation, and hunger. The Wendigo serves as a reminder of the consequences of giving into those desires, turning people into something monstrous. The idea of cannibalism during extreme situations, such as harsh winters, only adds to the chilling nature of the legend. The Wendigo also represents the harshness of nature itself. It's a creature born out of cold and isolation, lurking in the wilds where survival is a constant struggle. The Wendigo's endless hunger serves as a reminder of the dangers of the natural world and the consequences of being pushed too far. In 2015, a Reddit user shared a disturbing story from Gemseg, New Brunswick. He and his wife had just moved to an isolated property deep in the snowy woods. One night in January, the user was woken by his dog barking at the back door. The dog's strange behavior was unlike anything he had seen before. He went outside, calling for the dog, but the dog ran into the woods, still barking wildly. As he ventured deeper into the woods, he heard his wife's voice calling him from behind. But when he turned around, his wife was still in bed, asleep. Confused, he called out to her from a distance, only to hear the voice again, coming from deeper in the woods. He soon noticed a gaunt, shadowy figure watching him from the trees. With its hollow eyes and spindly limbs, it was unlike anything he had ever seen. Terrified, he ran back to the house. His wife was still asleep, unaware of the encounter. This chilling experience was later interpreted as a Wendigo encounter, as the voice mimicking his wife's and the dark figure were both signs of the creature's presence. Whether real or imagined, the event left the man shaken, and the memory of the encounter haunted him for years to come. Another encounter took place in St. Lawrence, New York, in 2015. John Crowder, an experienced woodsman, had been working alone in the Brash Estate forest. One night, strange thuds and scratching sounds came from the roof of his cabin. He stepped outside to investigate, feeling an overwhelming presence watching him from the shadows. Though he saw nothing, the feeling of being watched intensified. He stayed in the dark, hoping it would leave. Hours later, when the sun rose, John found strange humanoid footprints in the snow. They were larger and more elongated than human tracks. He was left wondering if he had encountered a Wendigo. The tracks appeared to be a blend of human and animal features, almost as if the creature was neither fully one nor the other. These unsettling prints only fueled his growing fear, and despite his vast knowledge of the woods, John couldn't shake the feeling that something had been lurking just out of sight. What can we make of these unsettling encounters? Are they just stories, or did these people truly experience something otherworldly? The Wendigo, originally a spirit with no physical form, has evolved into a cryptid. Its descriptions vary, but its malevolent nature remains the same. The Wendigo symbolizes isolation, hunger, and the darker side of human nature. Its legend serves as a reminder of survival's fine line and how quickly desperation can turn into destruction. Whether real or imagined, the Wendigo continues to haunt the minds of those who live in remote, desolate forests. The Wendigo reminds us of the dangers that come with isolation and greed. It's a powerful symbol of the lengths people may go to when pushed to their limits, and it will continue to evolve as long as the cold winds blow through the forests. The creature's myth remains as relevant as ever, continuing to inspire fear, fascination, and respect for the power of nature and the dark corners of the human psyche. In the end, whether you encounter the Wendigo in the woods or in your dreams, it is a force that represents the dangers of giving in to our basest instincts. The Wendigo will always be a part of the world's dark folklore, lurking just out of sight, waiting for its next victim.